we need to make sure we're doing good to others. At least that's what the principle of beneficence tells us to do. It states that we have a moral obligation to maintain or increase the welfare of others. That seems simple enough, but as we'll see, it's a bit more complicated than this, and that's in part because there are multiple ways to do good to others. I'll just focus on two broad ways: preventing others from being harmed and helping to promote the interests of others. We prevent someone from being harmed when we remove threats that, if realized, would make their lives be worse than they are presently. For instance, when we push someone out of the way of a car that cannot stop, we prevent them from having their bones broken and missing future activities, such as work and sports, that they would have missed if they sustained those extensive injuries. And we promote someone's interests when we help them achieve what's good for them. Sometimes this includes helping them satisfy their desires, such as attending a baseball game, but not always. Sometimes someone might desire something that is bad for them. For example, children may not always want to eat their vegetables, but it's certainly good for them to do so. So it's important to keep in mind that what's in someone's interests might not always be what they want at the moment. Now, there are broadly two different theories about the extent to which we have a moral obligation to prevent people from experiencing harm and promoting their interests. On one family of theories, called consequentialist theories, we have to maximize the amount of good that we cause by our actions. That's just a fancy way of saying that our actions have to result in the best outcome, such as reducing the most suffering in the world that we can. Peter Singer presents a famous version of this view by claiming that if it is within our power to prevent something bad from happening, without thereby sacrificing anything of comparable moral importance, we ought morally to do it. You always have to maximize the good. A second family of moral theories, called deontological theories, allow for options in our moral decision-making. What I mean by that is this: deontological theories do not claim that we always have to maximize the good. Helping pay for your child's education may not maximize the welfare of others. That money might increase the welfare of many people if you donated it to charity. However, maybe you're morally allowed to preference the interests of your own child in some cases. On this view, actions can be what we call supererogatory. Supererogatory actions are things that you do that go above and beyond what morality requires of you. So, maybe giving over half your income to charities is supererogatory. Maybe morality doesn't demand that everyone does this. You don't always have to maximize the good. I want to point out that I've intentionally left what counts as the good vague. There are, unsurprisingly, different theories on what things count as good for someone. Some have characterized what's good for you exclusively as that which helps you achieve pleasure and avoid pain. Others argue that what's good for you are those things which fulfill your desires. And others still have argued that what is good for you is independent of pleasure, pain, and what you want. Instead, there are things out there in the world that just are good for you, such as health, knowledge, and love, regardless of the pleasure and pain they bring or the desires they satisfy. Now, I can't discuss the merits of each of these proposals in detail, but it will help us to understand the demands of the principle of beneficence if we assume that one of them is true. So, just for the sake of this video, I'll assume that hedonism, the view that what's good for you is exclusively what increases pleasure and reduces pain, is true. If hedonism is true, then the principle of beneficence tells us that we have to help people experience pleasure and avoid pain. But that doesn't mean we always have to increase pleasure. For instance, if doing so would likely cause a lot of pain. In other words, we need to evaluate the benefits and risks of our actions. The more the benefits outweigh the risks, the stronger the moral obligation to do good to others is. But how do we know if the benefits outweigh the risks? You can think about it like a simple math equation. First, figure out how much pleasure you can expect your action to cause, and then subtract how much pain you can expect it to cause. If your action is likely to cause a lot of pleasure, say by preventing disease, and not likely to cause a lot of pain, then the benefits outweigh the risks by a fair amount. On the other hand, if your action is not likely to cause a lot of pleasure, say because a treatment is ineffective, but very likely to cause pain, then the benefits probably do not outweigh the risks. But remember, other moral principles such as non-maleficence and autonomy also play a crucial role in what is morally permissible and what is morally obligatory. Unless consequentialism is true, The benefits and risks are not all that matter for morality. Thank you for watching 5 Minute Ethics. Please like and subscribe.